Hi, fourth graders. This is Mrs. Heath recording lesson 2.6 entitled Chance Events. Our objectives are going to be to review vocabulary associated with chance events and introduce the probability meter. What is the chance or likelihood of something happening? So let's get started with a little review first. For our mental math today, it says write the decimal and percent equivalents for the following fractions. I would love for you to do that. So for instance, 1/2, I hope you know it's 0.5 or 50 and 50%, okay? So if you do that, it should tell you that, okay? And I would love it if you could scroll through them and do them and then check your answers. But I'd love it if you did it first and then check your answers after. So 1/4 would be 0.25 or 25%. And so on. The first three are pretty easy. And then the rest of them, some of them are pretty straightforward. You might have to think about the others. But do your best and then check your answers. And then bring them in with you when you come to class again on Tuesday. Our mental math today is actually on chance and probability of picking marbles, actually. So in my in iExcel, it has like a little bag, and it talks about marbles. Well, not really a bag, but marbles. You select a marble without looking and then put it back. If you do this 6 times, what is the best prediction possible for the number of times you will pick a blue marble? Well, we have 6 total, but how many blue do we have? So think about that. So I would say I'm going to select 2 because I think that I have a 1 in 2 chance of getting it. If you spin, or I should say 2 out of 6 chance. If you spin the spinner 7 times, what is the best prediction possible for the number of times it will land on red? Well, I have 7 total, 7 total triangles, and there are 3 of them that are red. So I'm going to go with 3. If you flip a coin 4 times, what is the best prediction possible for the number of times it will land on tails? This one can be tricky unless you're thinking. Remember, there is always a chance of it landing on heads or tails. So in this case, I'm going to say 4 out of 4 because it could land on that every time. Oh! What did I say? The correct answer is 2. Oh, Mrs. Heath made a mistake. I got it wrong. I was thinking, fourth graders, I am sorry. What is the best prediction possible for the number of times it will land on tails? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Because heads is on one side, tails. So, yes, 2 times possible. I apologize. Mrs. Heath did that wrong. So, that's good. I'm glad I made a mistake so you could see that Mrs. Heath makes lots of mistakes, too. If you spin the spinner 12 times, what is the prediction possible for the number of times it will land on yellow? So, how many times will it land on yellow if I spin it 12 times? I'm going to say, no, I think it's going to be every 1 time I spin. It could be 6, or there's third, it's a third. So I'm going to maybe say 3. I'm going to go with 1. The correct answer is 12. If you spin, oh my gosh, Mrs. Heath is really making a lot of mistakes. If you spin the spinner 12 times, I think I need to reread what I'm writing. If you spin the spinner 12 times, what is the best prediction? There's always a chance it's going to land on yellow every time. Ugh, Mrs. Heath, she needs to go to bed, I think. She's up too late trying to tape this lesson, and it is not working very well. So it is 12 times. Anytime I spin it, it could land on yellow. It could also land on green. There's more green, but it could land on yellow every time. Good job, fourth graders, with the mental math. I am sorry because I made several mistakes, but that was good because that was good for me to have to rethink through my questions too. With the next lesson, or the next segment, we're going to talk about reviewing chances. So let's review chance events. Number one, if you spin many times, what should happen? So when I'm spinning, what should happen? What would be a certain event? Certain means it's going to for sure happen, okay? So if my whole spinner was black, I am certain that when I spin it, it's going to land on a black, okay? What would be an impossible event? Well, if I had all black or a sliver of white, it's almost impossible to get that sliver of white. But the other thing is like the weatherman will say it's an impossible chance of rain, or it's certain it's going to rain today. They use terms like that. They use terms like that all of the time. And we'll talk about that more in class. What is the perfect fraction and decimal showing how often it should land on black? So the perfect fraction and decimal. So if I go up here and I look at this little spinner here, oops, sorry. How many whites do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many blacks? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is the perfect fraction and decimal of it landing on black? Please write down that answer and bring it in just to the question to number 4. Okay. If I spin many times, what should happen? I want you to think about that too. If I spin a certain number of times, am I more apt to land on a certain color, or am I less? Think about it, and think about what is how many colors of each you would have too, because that would make a big difference also. All right, let's move on. This is my little attention getter. It says, what is the probability it will snow today? And I love my little snowflake here. Now, it says certain, impossible, unlikely, or likely. Well, let's see. It's October, and it is Minnesota, or it will be October, sorry. We still have 2 days left in September. And it's been pretty nice. So my answer would definitely be impossible or unlikely. But with living in Minnesota, you never know for sure. But I'm going to say it's definitely very unlikely that that is going to happen tomorrow in Minnesota. What is probability? The chance an event can occur or has occurred. So, for instance, to write as a fraction, it's the number of favorable outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So what is the amount I could pull a marble from a bag out of the total number in the bag? And so pulling a blue marble out of the total number of marbles. So if I had 4 blue marbles, so using marbles out of a total number of marbles kind of helps you to see how that happens. All right, let's move on then. Event. So what is an event? An event is something that may happen. It can be written as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. So something that could happen. Impossible is 0. Certain is 1. So if we were making a number line from 0 to 1. Unlikely would be close to 0, and likely would be close to 1. Now on our probability meter, we go from 1 to 100. But for this activity, I just wanted to show you what it would look like. So between 0 and 1. So 0 is the impossible, less often than not, so unlikely, about a fourth. 50% as likely as it is unlikely. It's both even. So it could, it couldn't. They're both kind of in the middle. More often than not is like the 75% or 3/4. And certain is 100% or 1. So that's why I was using this, just to show you from 0 to 1. When we're in class, you're going to see the probability meter from 0 to 100. So a little bit bigger. All right, so it says, what is the probability of spinning red, yellow, purple? Oh, purple. I don't have purple on here. Red, yellow, blue, and green. I don't know why I have purple. My goodness. I must have typed it wrong. I must have been thinking about purple or something when I typed it. So sorry about that. So what is it? What is the probability? And I hope you can think of it in a fraction or a percent, decimal. So let's take a look. I hope this is what you were thinking. Equally likely, 1/4, 0.25, or 25%, because that is 1/4 of our circle. And they all take up 1/4. All right. It says draw a marble from the bag. And we're going to do this actually in class. We're going to do a little activity like this, but it says draw a marble from the bag, write down what color you drew, and then put it back and mix them up. It says repeat 9 times. Draw a bar graph of your information. We're going to talk about this in class, but if I were to pull the bag, there's a red. If I pull again, I get a green. Now, if I put them back in and I kind of shuffle them around a little bit and shuffle, 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 it's kind of hard to shuffle them here. And then put the red, and then you'd pick another one out, and I could pull a blue. So we will do an activity like this in class, just so that you can see how it works. When you put the event or the marble back in the bag, after being drawn, you still have the same amount of chances to get it. So I just kind of want people to know that you still can get that. It's just not as likely that it's gonna. It's just as likely. So if I had 2 greens and there were 10, I'm still have the chance of pulling it, 2 times. So just be thinking about that as you're drawing them. Assessment directions. So it says on a piece of paper, write your name, and you're going to write the answers to the 3 questions on the next page. So you can write your answers in fraction form. There is 1 page, 3 questions. Hand in when you complete them. So put your answer to number 4 and these 3 on the same page. Okay, so it says if 2 green and 1 red were drawn and not replaced, what is the probability of drawing a green marble? So think about that. And then it says if a green marble is drawn and not replaced, what is the probability of drawing a red? If the green and the red marble are not replaced, what is the probability of drawing another red? So out of the bag you're drawing, if 2 greens and 1 red were drawn and not replaced, so that's kind of the data you're dealing with. So what would be your probability now of drawing a green? If a green marble is drawn and not replaced, what is the probability of drawing a red? And finally, if the green and the red marble are not replaced, what is the probability of drawing another red? So hopefully this probability is starting to make sense, even though Mrs. Heath made mistakes. It's a good learning tool. And back to our chance events, to review vocabulary associated with chance events and introduce the probability meter. I am ready to show you some other activities in class with chance events. I really like this lesson. I think it's kind of cool. And we'll talk some more about this in class. Thanks for listening. Have a great evening.